All right, guys, we have made it. It is fantasy football week 1, and this is going to be an action-packed day. There are going to be dozens and dozens of videos, plus a live stream, 11:30 Eastern time, to check in on the injuries, the final injury report before the 1 o'clock games begin. And of course, I'm going to be live vlogging the entire day. Anytime there's a key injury, I'm going to put up a video about a minute later, sometimes as soon as 30 seconds, discussing what happened and whatnot. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And what we do Sunday morning is I also give you my start and sit options, the weather report. Now, the weather report this week is pretty much perfect across the entire league, so no reason to go into that. And then there's also going to be the handcuff running back video that's going to come out a little bit later. But now, as far as starting and sitting for week 1, and it's always difficult because you don't really have a good read yet on defenses. Defenses are very fluid from year to year. But these are the better options, I say, from the non-obvious, calls. I mean, obviously in every league you're starting Christian McCaffrey if he plays, you're starting Patrick Mahomes. These are players that a little bit more conversations can be had about whether to put them in or not. Now, starting at quarterback, I'm starting Trevor Lawrence today against the Miami Dolphins. Trevor Lawrence is going to have a huge game. There's a very high over-under. I believe it's the highest over-under on the slate. And there's going to be a lot of points scored in this one. Both offenses are nuclear, and for that matter, you're starting Tua Tagovailoa as well. You're starting both quarterbacks in this game because they're going to be points flying all over the place. Both guys are capable. Lawrence can even contribute on the ground. I think Trevor Lawrence remains severely underrated. Call me an apologist, that's fine, but I think he's going to be a top 12 guy this year. And you're also starting Tua, who tends to get off to hot starts each season before he fades late and injuries become a factor. Jared Goff, I love Jared Goff this week against the Rams. Obviously, there's history. The team that gave up on him, and at first it looked like he was going to be a throw-in in that deal for Matthew Stafford, and then he signs a blockbuster extension. So Jared Goff set for a big game against the Rams. And Jaden Daniels, I am putting him in on the road against the Tampa Bay team that gave up the 7th most points to opposing quarterbacks, fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks last year. I believe Jaden Daniels, just on the running aspect of alone, will put forth a very solid effort in his debut. As far as the sits, Dak Prescott, all right, against the Cleveland Browns. The chemistry between him and CeeDee Lamb might be a little choppy since Lamb missed most of the summer with a contract holdout. This Browns defense is legit. The Cowboys are going to be one-dimensional with a lack of a running game. That's a bad recipe to go against a ferocious Cleveland Browns defense. Brock Purdy and Aaron Rodgers. I'm benching both of these guys for Monday night for obvious reasons. You're talking about 2 of the top 5 defenses in the entire league. Brock Purdy was terrible all summer. Aaron Rodgers is going to have some rust to knock off. This is going to be a very low-scoring game. Christian McCaffrey, how much is he going to play? Is he going to play? I think he will, but still, Brock Purdy and Aaron Rodgers are both sits for me this week. Matthew Stafford, I'm sitting him against the Detroit Lions. I think this is, while I do like the Rams, I do like Stafford as a value play in super flex leagues. I think the Lions are going to be geeked up to play him and give him a hard time in this one. So I'm going to sit Matthew Stafford. Now, as far as running backs, James Cook, I love the matchup against Arizona. I think James Cook's going to have a huge game. Like to see some touchdowns from him this year, some goal line carries. Not sure how much Ray Davis is going to be involved there, but I'm playing James Cook as one of my top plays this week. Devin Singletary against the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Giants are going to be in a good position in this one. The Giants will probably win more games than people anticipate. I think they can control the clock in this one, and they can probably be, I do expect them to be winning this game in the 4th quarter. I think Devin Singletary will be used liberally as the rare bell cow back in the NFL. David Montgomery against the Rams. Again, this is a good spot for all the Lions offensive players. We know you're starting Jahmyr Gibbs, but I'm also starting David Montgomery, who's basically 50-50 to score in every single game. As far as the sits, I'm sitting Aaron Jones, right? Aaron Jones, the biggest fan, that's me. I am sitting him because the Giants' defensive line is legit. Dexter Lawrence is the best defensive tackle in football now that Aaron Donald's retired. Kayvon Thibodeau, they brought in Brian Burns. This is going to be a tough matchup for Aaron Jones here. I'm sitting Tony Pollard against the Chicago Bears. I want to see how things shake out between him and Tajay Spears, but also the Bears' run defense was pretty good last year, and I think I want to wait and see on this one before I trust Tony Pollard again. Chase Brown and Zach Moss. I'm sitting them both for similar reasons against New England, although New England's strength is going to be on defense this season. I also want to see, just like with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, what the situation is going to look like with the carries between the 2 of them. Wide receivers to start. I'm starting Chris Godwin. Washington was an absolute layup in terms of the passing game last year. They were probably, Emmanuel Forbes was a turnstile all year. This is a pathetic secondary. I think Chris Godwin, who's going to move to the slot this year, he's almost bound to score more touchdowns, right? He's going to have some positive aggression there. I think Chris Godwin is an undervalued play this year. Malik Neighbors, I'm starting against Minnesota. You're starting him anyway. This could be the start of something really exciting as long as he doesn't get hurt. I think this is a good matchup for him there. Diontae Johnson, who I also like a lot. I think he's a sleeper to lead the NFL in receptions, which I already did a video on. I think it's a good matchup for him against New Orleans. Josh Palmer, I'm starting against the Raiders. Josh Palmer is really the only guy that a very capable, very good, top 5 on talent alone, Justin Herbert, can throw to. Josh Palmer is going to be a really good player this year. I'm sitting Calvin Ridley against Chicago. I really don't like this matchup for Tennessee in general. I think Chicago is going to give them a really tough time. George Pickens gets A.J. Terrell against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sitting George Pickens there. All right, as far as tight ends, I'm starting Evan Engram for the same reasons I spoke about earlier. This Jacksonville-Miami game is going to be an offensive bonanza, so start Engram everywhere. And I'm sitting Jake Ferguson, again, for the reasons I spoke about. The Cleveland Browns defense is legit. They're going to give him a tough time. They defend the tight ends well. Guys, hit that subscribe button. If you're not part of the fun today, I don't know what you're doing. More videos on the way soon.